We are back talking about how to make effective decisions from alignments. I want you to feel this. The reason we want to avoid making decisions is that we've linked pain and fatigue to making them. Feel that. Like where in your life do you like feel a decision that you've been like not wanting to make, right? And where have you linked pain or fatigue? Like it's exhausting, like, oh, I don't know, like, right? Can you feel like we've linked pain to it? Like we don't have clarity. And so we just link pain and then we avoid it, right? So each decision, what happens, it feels heavy and exhausting or draining, which is why we avoid them. And this causes us to make then decisions impulsively because we don't actually take the time to slow down for a few minutes, right? Schedule it when we're going to want to make a decision on something and really process it through. Since we don't have a skill for that, we just then try to be impulsive about them, or it leaves us like procrastinating. So we beat ourselves up and then we don't trust ourselves, and because we doubt ourselves to make decisions. So all of this, what I want you to know is the truth is, in order to make effective decisions, we must link enjoyment and massive pleasure, like a sense of accomplishment. Really feel that. Like, what if you, when you go to make decisions that you know you're going to enjoy them, you're going to have so much pleasure and such a praise of an accomplishment. You're going to praise the crap out of yourself. Like, oh my God, it's going to be so wonderful. Can you see that then you would begin to see yourself as someone who makes decisions, I'm not saying impulsively, but fairly quickly, because you can sort the way you're feeling and be able to process it. And when you need more time, you take the time it takes. Hey, like as an example, you say, you know what, that's actually awesome. Thank you for sharing that with me. Give me a little time to like process that decision, and I'm going to get back with you within 24 hours or by tomorrow at 5 o'clock, right? So taking the time so that you link massive enjoyment and pleasure to your ability to make decisions and make them effectively. This is key. Okay. So understanding that there's an even deeper emotions at play here, right? That some of the most common reasons why we put things off and can't seem to break that cycle of procrastination. This is coming from, like, whether you said, oh, if you said, oh, I just want to be perfect, or, because of the fear of failure, right? We get hung up on getting it right and, don't know how to start, or don't want to finish because don't want to be seen as failure or not have done it right. And I want you to consider that when you feel that the truth is you're really not afraid of what you think you're afraid of. You're afraid of the way that failure will feel. So it's not failure that you're afraid of. Like, feel that. How many times did you fail in order to learn to walk? How many times did you fail in order to ride a bike? How many times did you fail? Like, it's the feelings that you're really afraid of, that you won't be able to handle the way that feels. I want you to feel that. Maybe for you, it's endless distractions, right? You have this endless to-do list, and so you put off the most complex things, the things that are really going to make the biggest difference. Again, I want you to consider that you're not really afraid of complex tasks. It's really that you're afraid that you won't be able to handle the way you feel if you don't feel you're capable of the complex tasks. What? I'm going deeper on this, right? Maybe for you, it's you rely on a sense of urgency to be productive. Like, you get this adrenaline rush and this experience when you leave things to the last minute, and you're addicted to that high. You get close to deadlines, then you kick yourself into action, and you use those, that way to motivate you and create this addiction of a sense of urgency. I want you to consider that the truth is you're afraid that you don't have those feelings of the fear of urgency. Like, if you're afraid that if you don't feel that, you've been addicted to them, that you won't trust yourself to actually, plan it, do it, and do it when you said you're going to do it. You don't trust yourself. So you're using that as a motivation, the fear as the way that's driving you. And ultimately that breaks down, right? Like, even though you've gotten it to work some, which is why you keep doing it, because it has worked some of the time, right? But at a higher level and at a bigger game, when you want to play for a $1 million company, that will cost you a fortune. Does that make sense? It will cost you a fortune. So like, no matter what this is, whether it's like the never-ending cycle of that intense stress, why you procrastinate, because then you feel intense stress and then you get this relief. And maybe you're addicted to that feeling of like accomplishment in the relief, rather than you could just build the muscle of scheduling this, right? Instead of procrastinating and praising yourself, so that you've linked massive pleasure instead of feeling the relief as a reward. Or maybe, like these are just the different ways, right? So every time you complete a task after procrastinating, you want to actually, like, you've linked that blissfulness from that, where it would be so much more effective to actually, when you say you're going to do something, do it, and then celebrate yourself. Feel how much that is like for you, instead of working against you to achieve a result. Can you feel that? And then the disconnection from your future self, right? This one is one of the biggest reasons for that procrastination, when we get caught up in the immediate short-term instant gratification. Oh my gosh, how many people do I see sabotaging their results? Big companies, like taking them down, constantly living paycheck by paycheck, right? Because of this one reason. They are addicted to the immediate short-term instant gratification, and they don't realize that they're sacrificing the long-term, their best long-term interest, or the company's long-term interest at heart. That is freaking huge, 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 huge. Again, because this is that addiction to that short term is giving them that relief or that high, rather than like really slowing down, putting in the systems and processes necessary such that you're building long-term wealth, right? This is key. And if you've never heard of the marshmallow story where they tested kids with marshmallows, and they gave them one, and they said, if I leave the room and I come back and you haven't eaten the marshmallow, you get 2, right? And they noticed on how many kids ate the marshmallow and how many kids didn't. And the fascinating thing is the ones that didn't, that were willing to wait for the marshmallow, when they did the study and they found how successful were they in life, they were massively successful compared to the child who ate the marshmallow, right? This is not right, wrong, and morality. This is about that behavior is the one that is willing to process and work it through and see what is in the best interest at the whole, is going to always have a longer term result, a return on investment. Okay, so here's the biggest thing I want to give you in this session here. The common of all of these things, no matter what, if we look at any of the things I just said, the most common theme, can you see, is going to be fear. And then if we go deeper into that, it's going to be either the fear of rejection, the fear of criticism, the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of owning our power, the fear of loneliness, the fear of uncertainty, the fear of discomfort, right? No matter what it is, but underneath all of that, I want you to see there's a deeper level. And the deeper level is what's holding us back from changing our behavior or our circumstances is always going to be here. This is it. It's the fear that when we feel those emotions, that we won't be able to handle it. So the person wanting to get that instant high thinks that if they really took the time and planned it out, they don't think that they're capable of planning things out. And so they're afraid if they don't take the immediate action now, that simple, like immediate gratification, they're not going to get it at all, because they don't really believe that they're capable and they don't trust themselves. And so that's why it keeps being in their blind spot, why they keep sabotaging their results. I know this sounds simple, but it's true. I'm going to say this again. The fear that we're feeling in all of these emotions, whatever it is, whatever the ones I listed, whether you feel like, whether you are somebody who has endless distractions, procrastinates, wants perfectionism, creates an urgency to try to get productive, whether you leave yourself in a sense of never-ending stress, right? All of these, and the basis of is fear. And then underneath all of that, the real reason that you feel that it's the fear that when we feel the emotions that we're afraid of, that we won't be able to handle the emotions. That's what's really happening. And then ultimately, What we're afraid of is that means that we're not capable and that we don't trust ourselves. And that's what it comes down to. And the truth is, when we don't trust our motives, right, then why would we ever expect ourselves to succeed? When we don't trust our own motives, right, who are we to want what we want? We don't allow ourselves our desires. If we don't trust our motives, then what we do is we misuse our success or squander it, right? Because we use every mistake or every negative emotion to confirm that we can't trust ourselves. We prove ourselves right, even when we're wrong. Isn't it amazing? So stop it. Don't do that anymore. What you have now in your tool chest is we've given you a process, the aligned intelligence method, that allows you to process your emotions, gives you the greatest probability for success, because the truth is the best biases for making effective decisions. When you can see reality and the truth, that is why it works out for you, right? Now, there is a huge difference that I want to give you between judgment and discernment. And I want you to feel the difference. So when we're in ego, we are using judgment as a way to form our opinion and decisions from morality, okay? But that doesn't work, because morality is man-made. It's not a law of a cause of an effect. It's not an energy. So in judgment, we will still have things not work out for us. Have you noticed? That's why there are what we would call bad people that are successful. So notice that discernment is from the aligned self. Feel that, because from discernment, what we're doing is we're perceiving something in the absence of judgment. Basically, we're perceiving it from neutrality. And can you feel that when we look at something to make a decision from discernment, from neutrality, in the absence of judgment, what happens is we allow our feeling and our senses and our aligned self to guide us in what it is, that the clarity on what it is we most want and what feels in alignment for that. So the key here is understanding that you want to develop the ability of the difference between discernment versus judgment, right? You want to be able to take your unseen doubts, worries, and fears and make them visible, give them a voice, process them through the aligned intelligence method so that you remove the guilt, the shame, the judgment, the story, the attachment, basically all resistance. That's what we want to do. So here's the key in making effective decisions from alignment. The truth is, we then intentionally implement our true desires because we're using discernment when we come into alignment in vision with our vivid visions of our desires. Does that make sense? So it just feels in alignment. Everything becomes in alignment. All right, lastly, here's the thing. How do we stop procrastinating for good? Okay, I put that down below as well because I wanted to really give you some real big picture understanding along with the aligned intelligence method. And so here it is, right? What it does is this requires you to develop and practice the skill set. Okay, the more familiar you make this practice, the more secure that you're going to trust yourself, that you are totally capable, and you trust yourself. And that's why you've linked massive pleasure, because you're going to praise yourself, right, for making effective decisions. Okay, so here's what you want to do. The first thing is you want to take full ownership by connecting to your aligned self. Okay, you have to really feel for that. Okay, and it's going to be letting go of the mind. The next thing you want to do is gain clarity, right? Anytime we go to make a decision, we can't make a decision if we're confused, because confusion is always the opposite of clarity. If we feel overwhelmed, it means we're trying to focus on too many things at one time, and we haven't sorted and processed what we need to clear out of our way such that we can gain clarity. So we want to gain clarity. The next is we want to build our effectiveness, right? This is we're replacing these internal negative things, like ways that we've attached negative emotions to, feeling like feelings are like facts, or feelings that means it's bad, right? We have to replace those such that we can actually feel the difference between our ego and our intuition. We want to break down like anything that we have too much that we're not sure on. We want to break it down in that list into a smaller subtask list, baby steps, right? So take something that is daunting as a big project or something like that, break it down into bite-sized pieces so that we can really operate inside of flow. The next is we want to set deadlines for ourselves, right? We want to start linking lots of pleasure to deadlines. Deadlines are going to be your new best friend, right? This is what is going to, when you link massive pleasure to deadlines, this is how you accomplish more in way less time. The next thing, you want to remove distractions, okay? This is all about really allowing yourself to go into a state of flow and stay in flow. It doesn't take so much time. And then also we want to use a time management technique that works for you, right? So as an example, I like to use Pomodoro. There's an app that is on my phone, and it allows you, this is my favorite one, the little black with the hourglass. And what it does is, by doing that, you can set the time, and you can listen to birds, or you can listen to whatever you want, but it's going to set the time, giving you a break so that if you need to get up and do something and go back. And what you're doing is you're training your mind to get into flow states, right? So that is going to be the key for you. The goal here is really, by breaking bad habits, right? Not morality bad habits, but more ineffective habits. By breaking those habits and being your aligned self, living from clarity, intentions, and outcomes, consciously choosing and then deciding your decisions, going all in on it. What you're doing is you're taking full ownership. You are taking the power of all that is, aligning yourself fully with that, becoming one with it, clearing out any misconceptions, misunderstandings, by gaining the new understandings and the truths, taking the actions consistently until you achieve your desired results. You are limitless. All right, I cannot wait to see how you've added another thing, as we are always ever expanding your toolkit. Okay, bye for now.